2021 to me, 2020, COVID, all that stuff was really the acceleration of things that were going to happen in 5 to 7 years. I still believe that to be the case. Because of that, are there different types of companies that you are now seeing in your portfolio that are coming through from a Gust application or anything like that that you weren't expecting to see that is now coming in that you're like, oh, that's going to be the business of the future and we need to be in that? Or are you still kind of seeing the same style of businesses?
So in terms of last cycle, I've only been a part of it during the pandemic. So I think I've seen specifically companies that were either starting during the pandemic or hurting during the pandemic, which I don't think is unique to any specific industry. I think I'm super bullish and would love to see some cannabis related companies reach out, but I haven't seen that, which is kind of upsetting. Maybe with the new administration, I will. But yeah, I'm looking for those companies. Just personally, I would love to talk to some of those companies. I grew up and went to FC First Colonial and knew some of the kids that I actually graduated that year started a company out in Denver, I believe, called Mass that went public. So I guess you guys might know them or their name.
Zack is you're talking about Mass Roots.
Twice in one day. I invested. We had to invest in them for a different company, which I can't think of what it was. It was RoboSense. It was RoboSense. So like Isaac and all those guys. Yeah.
Isaac Dietrich.
And so the whole thing happened while they were in Hatch. So it's
I graduated with those guys from First Colonial. And so I wasn't super close with any of them, but it was exciting.
Tyler and Isaac and
Hyler. So 8 years ago, whatever, when it went public, I don't know the exact date. I started investing into it just because I was excited to see friends that brought a company public. It was super exciting.
It's interesting that you brought that up because at the time maybe things have changed, but that business was very severely frowned upon in this area, at every level.
Right.
And so I believe every type of service provider that they could have basically was like, we don't want anything to be a part of this. A lot of it would be interesting because I bet a lot of people this is definitely an assumption, a lot of people that are in your angel group network are probably ones that would frown upon that type of thing then. So it'd be interesting to see where that is now because, they were a $100 million business at one point. I don't know what they are now from a publicly trading perspective, but they were like the first publicly traded pot related business.
Something like that.
Yeah. And it'll be, on the same token, it'll be interesting to see if cannabis businesses are supported now, to see if there's been a cultural change just in the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah. So obviously, living in LA, I don't have the same beliefs necessarily as everyone in Hampton Roads, and I can't speak for each member of the group. However, I think our group does reflect the culture as a whole with Hampton Roads. And I would say Hampton Roads probably hasn't gotten 100% on board, but I think we're slowly moving in that direction. And I'm just I'm the associate director, investment curator. I love the idea, so I would love to talk to the companies. Now, I bring it to the board. The board has the final decision on top 5 and top 3 moving forward. So it's completely up to them, but I have no problem presenting and recommending a cannabis-related company.
What about gambling-related businesses? Gambling is now legal in Virginia in some aspects, and sports betting is, I think, the DraftKings app and stuff like that now available in Virginia. Do you anticipate anything like that coming through, or have you seen anything like that come through?
I haven't seen anything like that coming through. I haven't even really thought about the anticipation behind it.
Because if I remember correctly, it was only in a handful of states, and now I think Virginia's one, Michigan's one. All you have to do is watch El Presidente to see where he is. That's what's that's Barstool Sports founder. By the way, talk about a hustler. Dude turned eating pizza and ranking it into like a $100 million business. It's absurd. Oh, I don't want to do this, but this man's eating pizza.
Yeah,
it's
every day.
Mad respect for that guy. Yeah.
It's interesting because I received a piece of mail just yesterday from DraftKings. So it's like, man, it was approved. They had that stuff printed and ready to be mailed as soon as everything changed. So, I mean, that's the hustle that you need and that these founders need to grasp and understand.